dirt and smiled like it was mercy. I believed them once, but the one who once believed is dead. A cave that devours the screams of failed gods. Its walls were littered with glyphs covered in blood-stained gold and prayers rejected by god-makers. Glyphs were forcefully etched and carved into Suthar's existence. Tears from forgotten saints poured onto his skin, becoming veined in molten scripture and flowing in shattered idols. The pain gnawed at his soul and ravaged his body, yet he did not scream. No, he could not scream. The chains shackled to his wrists were caked in dried blood. Obsidian thorns tangled around his body like a snake coiled around a branch. With every shiver, they dug deeper, scraping bone. The agony was unbearable. It was torture the devil could not survive. The dried root hands were gutting Suthar's existence, body, and soul. His mind went blank, shrouded in shadow and void. A voice reached from the void. "You are unmade, boy, now be remade, be the rot." With every breath, the air froze not in temperature but in rage. A mindless Zarn had awakened, and it was hungry. He tore himself free from the shackles. Suthar's eyes, once a deep crimson, turned void black. The guards stationed outside the cave rushed in. They were accustomed to screams and pleas for mercy, but this was different. This was no person. It was an awakened Zarn, and it was hungry. Before they could react, it was too late. It had spotted its prey. The first guard was ripped in half within seconds. As more guards poured in, each stronger than the last, they witnessed the massacre of their comrades. 1, 2, 3, 4 dead within seconds. Mangled, ripped, crushed, bruised, and broken. The few who remained fled, screaming. "I have a family," one cried. "I was just following orders," another begged. It didn't matter. It couldn't be stopped. It had a family too, but that didn't stop them. They didn't show mercy. Why should they? The screams of the guards echoed through the world like a warning, bouncing off those gold-drenched glyphs like laughter from a bloomed dreadnought. Suthar stood atop the corpses. Entrails lay like worms across the stone. Some wounds were so deep he could read the glyphs carved into the now rose-colored walls. The bloodlust faded, and Suthar began to become sentient for the first time. Looking at his bloodied hands, he wondered what he had done and who he was. The last thing he remembered was being forced into the tube. He fell to his knees in shock and horror. He didn't know why, but it felt like he had become a monster. He had taken lives without even knowing it. He vomited, then collapsed. His body twitched as the rage dissipated, leaving behind a trembling shell of something not quite man, not quite beast. The cold stone beneath him drank in the blood like it had been in that situation before. There he lay unconscious, covered in blood that wasn't his, but the world stopped for nobody. Time passed, how long he didn't know, but the bloodstains on his hands had dried. Suthar struggled to rise from the still, blood-soaked ground. Something was different. It was as if he had formed a connection with the rotted hope he previously emanated. The bodies remained, and he was still disgusted by the massacre he had wrought. Rats gnawed at the corpses, making him retch again. The shadows of the world poured through the cave's jaws like the throat of something that had once been holy. As Suthar walked, his body shivered like a starving dog, without purpose and consumed by fear of his new world. Outside, the sky was missing. It simply wasn't there. What should have been dawn cast no warmth. The light bled sideways through a veil of bruised clouds, painting the land in smudges of amaranth and bile. Mountains loomed in the distance, not proud, but slouched, their peaks hollowed and bleeding cascades of red mist. Below them sprawled a forest of fungal monoliths, tree-sized blooms breathing spores with each windless exhale. Their caps shimmered with the oily sheen of decay, as if dressed for a funeral they had long forgotten to attend. Then he saw it as a thorn in the mountain's side, a tower. It was a wound stitched in iron, and its bone pierced the skyless void. It wasn't built. It had grown, twisted out of the earth like a rose. Cracks pulsed across its surface, veins of dim green light crawling up its height like dying fireflies trapped under glass. The closer he looked, the more it seemed to breathe. It offered a goal, a place to understand, a place to learn about this vast new world. His legs moved before his mind caught up, dragging him across ash-coated soil and past the fungal grove that wheezed and hissed from the acid rain with each step. Spores clung to his skin like whispers. Every breath he took felt like swallowing mold and regret. Suthar approached the mouth of the rose-thorn tower, but it did not budge. The tower was pulsing, wheezing. With every breath it seemed to mock him. The jaw didn't part. The teeth didn't retract. It just stared, like it was waiting for him to beg like a dog. His gaze rose past the stitched and vein-riddled surface, meeting a window about 50 feet up. A soft green glow leaked from it, pulsing like a heartbeat behind gauze. With a grunt, Suthar's fingers stabbed into the sharp, dagger-like walls. The sun's beams were missing from the sky, and darkness swallowed all sight. Suthar grasped blindly, trusting instinct over vision. The tower flexed, twitched, tried to shake him loose, but he kept going. He dug in harder, stone thorns twitching as if hungry for the pain. His muscles screamed with each pull, every wound on his body reopening like angry mouths. The glyph still burned, lighting up in his blood. But he kept going, teeth gritted, ribs heaving. His arms were adorned with glyphs that flickered like the warning lights of a dying machine. 20 feet, 30 feet. His fingers were raw, his skin peeled open. Blood coated the wall below him, slick and hot. 45, he counted to himself. With just 5 more feet left, he reached out. But the tower thought it was not his time. A stone shot out of the wall, nailing him in the face and sending a wave of memories into him. The rain, once pouring, now drizzled. The caws of crows ceased. A voice echoed in the void, calm at first, then screaming. A woman's voice begging, "Don't kill." That was all Suthar could make out. After those words, time resumed. The ground rushed up like it had been waiting for him. He slammed into the dirt with a sound that wasn't human. Bone cracked and dislocated. Vision blurred, ears ringing. He couldn't breathe. The pain wasn't just sharp, it was insulting. The kind that told you exactly how small you really are. He gasped, choking on blood and dust, and rolled onto his back, staring up at that window. The green light flickered, almost like it was laughing at him. The oxygen to his brain quickly fell short, causing him to pass out. When he awoke, he lay on his mother's lap. The sun was out, the sky was blue, and sunflowers were blooming. His mother smiled at him warmly. Suthar rubbed his eyes in disbelief. When he reopened them, nothing had changed. He dove into his mother's side like a child. When he picked up his head, the perfect illusion shattered. Her once perfect ocean blue eyes now bleed void. The flowers withered. The warm sky curdled with heavy clouds. The sun turned crimson. The thing pretending to be his mother spoke, its voice shifting from soothing to demonic. "Honey, is everything okay?" The ground cracked like a mirror beneath them, causing Suthar to plunge. The corpses of the guards clawed at the walls, trying to seize and tear his soul free. But none could reach him. He seemed to fall forever. Not through space, through memory, through rot, through himself. The world around him peeled back like scabbed skin, revealing layer after layer of agony dressed up as nostalgia. His mother's voice followed him, glitching between lullaby and shriek, each syllable echoing like a threat made sweet. He hit the ground with a thud that didn't shake the earth. It shook him. His eyes snapped open. The dream or vision or whatever that sick illusion was ripped away like wet cloth. He lay sprawled at the base of the tower again, the same godless monolith looming over him like it was trying not to laugh. His pulse was erratic, his limbs twitching. Cold sweat soaked through the crusted blood on his back. His lungs clawed for air. He climbed again, madness sharpening his resolve. This time he succeeded, pulling himself through the window. The tower's walls were narrow, and the air grew heavy with the smell of dust and old iron. Books were scattered across the floor, and shelves and desks had been flipped and destroyed. As he picked his way through the wreckage, his eyes landed on a crumbling bulletin board, still barely clinging to the wall. A single note was pinned to it, the edges curled and stained. The handwriting was cold, surgical. Day 106. Project, Alucard Zarn Subjection Armor. Subject, Zarn Category Mixture Test 2637. Notes, blood of the categories 2, 3, and 4 are not to be mixed under any circumstances. Suthar stared at the note. His breath slowed. Category 2, trash, that's what the guards had called him, like a slur, like a joke. Whatever rules they'd written in blood and doctrine, he was the thing that broke them. Maybe on purpose, maybe by accident, but now he was here, awake. Inside the tower they tried to keep him out of. His fingers clenched into fists. He moved deeper into the tower, the note still fresh in his mind. A long hallway stretched ahead, shadows yawning between flickering lights. Something was waiting at the end, and it had answers. He climbed endless staircases until he reached a grand chamber door, marked by 2 handprints inside an Ouroboros. He touched the prints, feeling his strength drain into the door. The door groaned open with a sound like old bones shifting. Inside, the air was dense and unmoving, as if sealed for centuries. Darkness pressed in like complete, suffocating velvet. At the far end, hovering in still air above a basalt altar, a single red gem pulsed with inner fire. The moment his fingers brushed its surface, a ring of braziers roared to life with unnatural flame, blue at the base and red-tipped, casting the chamber in a flickering, blood-hued glow. The room was vast, cathedral-sized, its ceiling lost in darkness. What was revealed in the sudden light made him reel. The walls curved inward in a wide oval, lined with towering glass cylinders. Within each floated a person, men, women, some barely recognizable, suspended in viscous fluid shot through with amber filaments, twitching faintly as though dreaming. Hundreds of them, perhaps more. The liquid glowed softly, backlit by unknown means, creating a ghostly panorama of distorted humanity. Above each row, tattered banners hung like flags in a forgotten war. Each bore a different sigil of painstakingly embroidered flowers of uncanny intricacy. A crimson rose whose petals bled into one another, an orchid with eyes at its center, a thistle encircled in barbs, a lily shaped like a tongue, a nightshade blooming from a skull. The emblems meant nothing to him, and yet they stirred unease, symbols of orders, lineages, or covens long erased from history. From behind, a massive beast loomed over him. The thing wasn't a man. It stood like a nightmare forged from war and shadow, black jagged armor clinging to a monstrous frame, each plate serrated like a fang, overlapping like the scales of a predator too ancient to name. In its hands, it gripped a cleaver masquerading as a sword, an iron slab so wide, so dense, it could crush boulders just by resting on them. The ground hummed under its weight. The air thickened, reality itself recoiling from its presence. Suthar turned slowly, every nerve screaming, every instinct howling one word: run. But his feet were locked in place, his heart hammering a rhythm of dread against his ribs. The beast didn't roar, it didn't growl, it simply moved, a blur of silent death. The earth splintered beneath its step. Suthar's mind went blank, his body refused him. The monster's blade hissed through the air and then carved through flesh and bone with merciless precision. A geyser of pain erupted. Suthar's world fractured. His arm hit the ground. His foot failed beneath him. The agony was blinding, but adrenaline surged like wildfire through his veins. Thought narrowed to one point: the door. Survive. Suthar bolted, half hobbling, half falling. But the colossus moved like death given purpose. It leapt. A mountain of iron landed between Suthar and salvation. He skidded, crumpled. One arm, fatting strength, doom above. The blade rose for the execution. And Suthar died. There was no afterlife, no fire, no light, only the void. Gravity pinned him like chains forged from despair. No sky, no ground, just endless dark, then footsteps. Out of the abyss came a twisted mirror, himself, rotting, smiling, an empty sleeve where an arm once was. "Looks rough," the shade said, head tilted, eyes glowing with mockery. "Want some help?" Suthar couldn't scream, couldn't even speak. The pressure suffocated everything but one thought: I don't want to die. His body convulsed. Blood turned black, then ignited. Flames surged from within, devouring fear, melting weakness. His eyes burned scarlet. Glyphs across his skin blazed to life, runes of survival and wrath. His missing arm reformed in pure fire, muscle layered with magma, each finger a weapon. The monster turned, pausing, intrigued by the sudden power surge. Suthar became a meteor of fire. He roared, fist cloaked in flame, and slammed into the juggernaut's chest. Steel cracked like pottery. The beast reeled. A second punch exploded against its ribs, blasting molten shards into the air. But it adapted fast. A backhand came, a wall of steel death. Suthar flew, his body skipping like a stone before colliding with a broken pipeline. The impact thundered in his skull. Blood filled his mouth and boiled into steam. This wasn't a creature, it was a gatekeeper, a test. The monster stalked forward, dragging its blade behind like a funeral bell. Suthar rose from the rubble. One breath, one beat of silence, then everything vanished. No doubt, no pain, only purpose. From his hand, a sword erupted, flame forged into an edge, fury given form. The enemy raised its weapon, but Suthar was already there. One slash, one goal, one survivor. Suthar severed its arms, legs, and finally its head. The head spun through the air, trailing sparks before crashing to the ground with a hollow clang. The armored titan collapsed, pieces still smoldering. Suthar stood over it, chest heaving, fire dimming, victorious. But something had changed. His reflection still lingered in his mind. He didn't know what he was anymore, only that he had survived, and survival had made him something new.